MSNBC is having a hard time keeping track of the various Richard Spencers who have been making news lately. And so recently during Joy Reid's show, they were attempting to have a discussion about the now former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer and how he was fired by the Trump administration. Now he was fired because he wrote this op-ed in the Washington Post about how Trump decided to get involved in the prosecution of Gallagher, Eddie Gallagher, who was a Navy SEAL accused of all sorts of war crimes, right? Trump got involved, pardoned him right away. And so Richard Spencer's commentary on that was not so kind toward Donald Trump, and he gets fired. Okay, so that's the heart of the story. But get a load of the giant mistake that was made in MSNBC's coverage of this story.
He got really involved in this. This is what Spencer wrote in an op-ed about what the White House did. On November 14, partly because the president had already contacted me twice, I sent him a note asking him not to get involved in these questions. The next day, White House counsel Pat Cipollone called me and said the president would remain involved.
All right, so for those of you listening to the audio version of this show, they put up a photo, a graphic that featured a photo of white nationalist Richard Spencer, as opposed to the Richard Spencer that they meant to talk about, the former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer. So immediately after that, Joy Reid did issue an apology. Let's take a look at that.
I want to make a quick correction. This is a pretty big correction. Earlier in the segment, as we were talking about former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer, we mistakenly showed the wrong image of white supremacist Richard Spencer. Very deeply sorry for that mistake.
So it's good that she made that correction. And look, mistakes happen, but it's a pretty giant one. And
yeah, I'm sympathetic. They're just like,
how do you not know? Like, what kind of utopia do you live in where you don't know who white nationalist Richard Spencer is?
These are probably like who gets the images for these, for these graphics? Probably interns, probably low-level producers. I don't know. I agree that it's a gaffe, but I've made gaffes. Duncan Hunter Sr. I once made a thumbnail instead of the actual Duncan Hunter.
Okay, but Emma,
I know
you're like you're a one-woman show. Really, I mean, you're in New York, you're by yourself, and
go on,
look, there
Anna.
are people remotely who help support what you do. But like, my point is, this isn't like a rinky-dink, startup show on YouTube. This is, and by the way, no offense to rinky-dink startup shows on YouTube. They're awesome and we need independent media. But my point is, like, this is MSNBC, they have resources. If you're gonna put something on air, you should have like a decent team put together that's gonna just do a quick final look before something goes to air.
I will say, I will not reveal the name of the person who said this to me, but it was someone who has or currently works at MSNBC who told me, like, look, it's pretty much an amateur operation in compared to the other news sources in terms of the fact that like they kind of shuffle people in and that it's a pretty, it's not super well run. I'll just put it that way. Like compared to CNN, which is a pretty well-oiled machine in many ways, MSNBC does not prioritize certain producer standards and things like that in the same way that other organizations of similar stature do, is what I have heard. And I can't verify that, but that's just hearsay from an anonymous source.
All right, okay. Well, I mean, it shows.
Yeah, right. So like, there we go, right? That's an example of it, kind of just weird incompetence for no reason.
And it sucks because, like, look, I have many critiques on Joy Reid, but it's not about Joy Reid in this story, right? It's about the production team behind the scenes. Someone made a giant mistake. And regardless of who made that mistake behind the scenes, it unfortunately always ends up reflecting poorly on whoever the host is, right? Because I think a lot of people they just assume that hosts like go on air and they just talk and there's like nothing that goes, but no, there's like an entire team. It's kind of like our YouTube videos or Facebook videos, right? If someone doesn't like the way it's titled or whatever, like they'll come at me. Yeah, and by the way, like everybody calm down with the way things are titled, unless there's like a glaring inaccuracy, which people are human, mistakes happen, it's not that big of a deal. But like the insane amount of like hate and criticism toward like me or Cenk or whoever the host was in that video blows my mind, because it's like, do you guys think that we do every single like little detail for every single show? No, you can't do that. That's literally impossible. We do a lot of heavy lifting compared to other news outlets. Well, yeah, but we need to have support, and we have all these great people behind the scenes that are helping us out.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.